art teachers. My name is Lindsay Rose and I am a middle and high school art teacher at a youth care facility here in my community. So today, in a day of the life, we're going to see how I get my morning started. We're actually going to check out the facility where I work and see the magic happen, and I have some special tips and tricks for you on how to prepare materials for students in a care facility. So make sure that you like this video and are subscribed to the Art of Ed for more day in the life videos just like these. So first, come with me as I get started on my morning routine. Every morning, I wake up and I start with gratitude. I'll pour myself a cup of coffee, I light a candle, and I get started on making a list of everything that I'm thankful for. Practicing gratitude, or what things that you recognize in your life that you have good going on, is a great way to connect with your soul. It's a good way to remind yourself of all of your blessings, and it fills you up for the day so you have more to give to yourself, to your family, and your students. Another important part of my morning routine is spending time with my children. As a mother of 3, I know how difficult it can be to make sure you get in time with your kiddos during the day. So doing this in the morning for me is a guaranteed way to spend time with them. We can either play a game, we can do a puzzle, or do some drawing. This is an excellent part of my way to make sure that I get in time with my family. Another part of my morning routine is my workouts. Whether it's a gentle yoga or a HIIT or a Pilates, fitness makes me a better mom, a better spouse, a better friend, a better teacher, and overall, a better human being. Now that I'm ready for my day, let's get ready for my students. But first, let me share a little bit of information with you about the Intervention Center. The Intervention Center is a temporary residential care facility for students between the ages of 10 and 18. The students are usually awaiting a court decision or awaiting placement in another facility. Until then, they are either separated into detention care, shelter care, and they are separated by gender. And it's worth noting that the students that are at this facility are facing challenges and circumstances that you and I may have never encountered in our lives. So when you're around these students and you're teaching these students, it is imperative that you stay positive, that you're kind, you treat them with respect, and master the art of not taking anything personally. Once you're able to do that, your day will get a lot better. So another component of this is the safety, not just the safety for our students, but safety for ourselves as well. So I have some tips and tricks to help ensure a safe, effective way of planning your materials for students in a care facility. Let's get started. Tip number 1 for preparing materials for students in a safe placement setting is to be mindful of your mark-making materials. Pencils are staples in the art classroom, but I want you to be mindful of the metal that's at the end of the pencils. This is not considered safe for students in a safe care placement because you do not want them to be able to remove this to use as something to hurt themselves or somebody else. What I like to do is to buy pencils with no backing to it, and I pair it with an eraser, and the students are set up for success. Secondly, are paintbrushes. Now paintbrushes, again, has the metal. We don't want the students to be able to remove the metal. So 2 tips that I have for that is to either use a foam brush, or I like to wrap my paintbrushes with duct tape, and this eliminates the students to be able to remove the metal while they're using the brush. And lastly, anybody that's using any markers or anything that has these little tabs, I'm sure your students snap these off all the time, but this is something that's considered a safety issue. So anytime that I collect my Sharpies, I will always make sure that this tabby is connected. So most of us have sketchbooks that have the wire binding, or we have sketchbooks that either have staples, we're using paper clips or binding clips. These are not allowed at the center. Again, we don't want the students being able to use these as tools to hurt someone or themselves. So what I like to do is invest in the nicer sketchbook that have the stitching for the binding, or I like to just buy paper pads that have the glue at the top, so you can just remove the paper one at a time. When students are on restriction, they are not allowed to have any sharp objects. So no pencils, no scissors, nothing that they can possibly use to hurt someone. So what we like to do is typically use crayons. However, I find that for middle and high school students, that's maybe not the most empowering. So besides the crayon, we also have chalk pastels,
we have oil pastels, or even a water-soluble crayon that we could turn into a watercolor lesson. Again, we want to make sure that our students are safe, but we also want to treat them with respect. I know that I have no more than 12 students per unit. That is the maximum allowed. So what I like to do is take my everyday materials such as pencils, erasers, fine Sharpies, extra fine, and I like to count them and have them in a bag ready to go. This makes it very easy because when you're on unit, because when you're working with these students, you want to be accountable for all the materials that you're handing out. So I like to count them. This is just a tip that I like to use to make sure that I am ready to go. And then anytime I get materials back, I count them up and I'm ready to use them for the next day. Hey everyone, so we made it here at the center and we're about ready to go in and collect my supplies. So it's top secret where I keep it. Not only is it the electrical room, but it's also the art supply room. So come and check it out with me. Heading past the metal shelves, deep through the jungle of wire is, ta-da, my little art corner. I'm very, very grateful for this art corner because it helps me feel like I have a little office even being at the facility. So let's get a little bit closer. And here I have my bulletin board with some artworks from past students, a picture of my family, just little notes to keep to myself to make it seem more like my office and my little space. And I also have a nice storage shelf here. This big box of the roses, I actually take to and from the facility. It helps me keep all of my materials straight and in order, along with some overflow, things that we have happening here. And then last but not least, this is my art on a cart. So I have everything labeled by color that all students and myself can have access to throughout the time if it's appropriate. And last but not least, this is my trifold. My trifold is really helpful for me to have all of my essentials of my teaching lessons. Not only for me, but also for the students to be able to see what social emotional learning competency that we're going to be using, what our standards are, our mediums, our techniques, our themes, our terms, and also our schedule for the day. So I'm about ready to fill this out, and then we're gonna head to the classroom. Okay, so we're in the classroom. I have my trifold set up. I have it filled out, and we are ready for today's lesson, which we are going to be doing collaging. Now, when I like to start with collage, I like to start with a fun background. So something that I do is I go to old wallpaper stores and they have these big, gorgeous books full of all these old samples, and I love to kind of cut some out. So we have just not a blank piece of paper, but we also have a decorative background, and it's a great way to recycle some old materials. Otherwise, it would have been thrown in the dumpster. And also what I do is I have some washi tape to add. My students love, love, love washi tape. And another thing that I like to do is if you have a lot of time on your hands, I know students love to go through magazines and cut out on their own, but I find that when you're in a time crunch, I like to cut out my embellishments by themselves. So I will cut out some words, I will cut out some letters and embellishments and have them ready for the students. And then what I do is I take some old envelopes and I cut out letters and I have them ready for the alphabet. So this is the unit where the kids stay. So the Shelter girls just got finished their collage, and I wanted to share with you some of the pieces that they came up with. Now, this is really important to bring up with this idea of identity as a part of our essential question for this unit of talking about collage is how does making connections between text and self deepen my understanding of my own identity? With kiddos being in this kind of a setting, their confidentiality and their identity is extremely important. So we really had to dive deep in understanding how can we really show who we are without actually showing ourselves. So the students were all given a prompt of things that you don't know about me, and they were able to choose their color, their text. They had a lot of different options to go through, and this was just an incredible way for them to really be able to express themselves. Hi, art teachers. So I'm in between for my lunch break. So right now I'm sitting in my closet with my rep, my tunes, checking my email, and I have about 15 minutes. So I want to know, can you comment below, how much time do you have on your break, and what do you typically do when you have these precious moments to yourself? Okay everyone, we just finished off our collaging with the Shelter girls in the classroom. Now we moved over to the detention side of the facility, and we'll actually be on unit with our students. So come with me and check it out. So I am on to my second classroom. I'm actually in the detention unit right now, which I'm going to show you and what it looks like, and I'm working with a student. Okay, right now we are on detention unit. This is where the students reside when they are not in school or in program. This also acts as a common day area for them. Hey, art teachers, it's the end of my day and I'm ready to head home, spend time with my family, and reflect on the day. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like this video and are subscribed to The Art of Ed for more day in the life videos just like these. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.